As you know, I'm Kyneton the Tech Pro, and today I'm going to explain to you how to use JPA auditing in your application. So how do you save last modified by, who modified the object, when was it created, when was it modified. This was a problem in the past when I used to write programs in Visual Basic. For you to be able to write these programs manually, to take the logged in user and put it in the database as a person that modified, or to take in the current time and save it into the database. So let me show you how to do this automatically. Spring JPA Auditing will help you to put in these records automatically in your database without even having to create the fields or the tables or the table columns for this. As you know, I have step by step. So all the steps, all the code snippets, everything you need is here for you step by step. So feel free to visit the website. The link to this page is in the description box. So everything you need is right here. You can always copy and paste if you have some challenges. So let's get started. Again, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to my channel, because when you subscribe, you kind of motivate me to keep making these lessons. And if you have challenges, let me know. I'm going to reach out to you to help you solve these problems, any problem you have. So please subscribe to my channel. And if this has been informative for you too, let me know. Tell me it helped you. And if you have recommendations on how I can improve my lessons, also let me know. So let's get started. So auditing helps you to keep track of changes, this we know. So these theories, I'm not going to be reading them. Take time to read it and understand what happens. So I have a simple application at this point. If I run this application, it's simply an application that returns list of items, list of users, list of locations, and list of posts. So if I run this application at this point, you'll find out that it runs seamlessly. This is the same application I used to make the tutorial for one-to-many and many-to-one. That is relationships in Spring Boot. I also use the same tutorial to demonstrate H2 database and a few other things I used it. I think I did use it to demonstrate the last one I did with this tutorial was documentation. Yeah, Swagger files, how to build documentations automatically. So you can follow the tutorial to develop this application. So this application I'm using to test JPA auditing. All right. So now we have, so this console, I would like it to just be here. Okay. So the application starts up. I hope it runs perfectly. And you see Tomcat started in port 8080. This application have H2 database enabled. So let's just go ahead to check to make sure this application works. So this application doesn't have JPA auditing. So if I go to HTTP, and yeah, localhost 8080 H2 console. So this is the application at this point. This is too big. So if let me make it maybe 110. Okay. So if I connect, you'll find out that we have the application. We have 3 tables I've created there. So if I go to location and run, you can see list of locations, ID and name. There is no updated by or last updated by, created by, and stuff like that. Let's see how to do it at this point. So one thing we can do is to create a class that has these 4 items, that has 4 fields: created by, created date, last modified by, and last modified date. So we are going to create an application that has these 4 fields. A class, I mean, that has these 4 fields. So instead of adding these 4 fields to existing classes, we create a class that has these 4 fields. This class will now make this class to be a superclass to the existing classes. So we make the classes we have extend this class, and that will be the easiest way to do it. So again, let's go to so let's follow the steps step by step. So the first thing is to create an abstract class. So this class will be abstract because we don't want this class to be instantiated. This class will only be inherited by existing classes. So I'm going to say new. I'm going to say new class, and I'm going to call this class name to be Auditable. So I'm going to say finish. So all right, so the next thing is to create the fields. So I'm going to say private date, private. So yeah, this is important. So this class will be of type U. So because for now we abstract class, so it's going to be an abstract class. The reason is because we don't know the object. We maybe is a string, the username may be a string, but for now we don't know the kind of object that the user is going to like to use as who updated. Maybe a user object, maybe a user details object, maybe a string, stuff like that. So it's, at this point, let's leave it as I think it's called polymorphic class. So I'm going to put mapped superclass. Mapped superclass simply means that you are not going to, it's not going to be an entity. We are not going to create a table for it. So mapped superclass and also auditing entity listener. All right. So this is fine. So let's create this private created by. So the type is going to be U. So it's a generic type. And private. So actually they use protected. Okay, so I think I could also use protected. But if you also use private, that is fine. So, but let's just do this step by step so that we don't miss anything. So this will be date. Okay, so java.util.date. So let's finish. And protected. And private you last. No, private date this time. All right. So this is what we have at this point. I'm going to just copy and paste so I don't need to not have to waste precious time. So let me just copy and paste so that we actually save ourselves time. All right. Temporal, that is fine. So timestamp should be, let me save everything first. So timestamp should be import. So let's see, it should be java.util .date. So sometimes this can be annoying, no? So don't know why sometimes. So java.util dot dates dot timestamp, I think. So the timestamp, I don't really know. Let me see. So java.util.date the timestamp. So I'm going to just check because I already have this at some point. So let me just check where I have it. It should be here, models auditable. So it's going to be java.temporal type, the timestamp. So let me just copy it. All right, so close up all this. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do is to generate the getters and the setters. So let me just do it here. I'm going to say source. I'm just going to do generate getters and setters, select everything, and just say generate. So at this point, we've completed the auditable class. So this class is a mapped superclass, meaning that it's not an entity, and there's no table for this class. It's an abstract class, meaning that you can't instantiate it, and is also it has its entity listener, meaning that it listens when changes are made to an entity. All right, so let me save everything. Hopefully there is no error. The next step says mark the classes as to extend auditable. So the three classes in our application is location, post, and user. So let me just say extends auditable. Okay, so this is what you should do. And this time when you were extending auditable at this point, we need to specify the type, because we've defined it as generic, but at this time we need to specify the type. So it's going to be string. Okay, so I should be looking at this type so that we don't miss a thing. Okay, extend auditable string. So I'm going to just copy this across to other classes. So the same thing goes for posts, extend auditable, and user extends auditable. So at this point, we are sure that if we test this application at this point, we'll see that those 4 columns are now added to this classes. Okay, so I'm going to save, and I'm going to relaunch the application. Let's see that these 4 columns have been added to these classes, or to these entities we are working with. Again, I'll go to head to database, but before then, let's wait for it to restart. So let's take a look at this point. And if it restarts successfully, we'll know that we've completed one important part of this application. Again, I'd like to remind you to subscribe to my channel, and also feel free to let me know if you have challenges. And make sure you have Advanced REST client installed in your system, because we are going to be using it close to the end of this class. So at this point, if I go to the head to database, if I refresh the page, and if I connect and go to select, you can see that the 4 columns are now added to our tables automatically, because our classes now extends auditable. Okay, this is one thing. Now, if we try to insert an item into this table, for instance, we try to insert an item into location. So let's go to location, run, and I go to edit, and I say add new, and I can actually add, let's say, so I can save, and now it doesn't save because we don't have anything inserted right there. It says default values and stuff like that. All right, so let's not waste our time at this point. So let's go back to user. Now I'm going to open Advanced REST Client. Let's try to insert using Advanced REST Client. So let's go to Advanced REST Client. So I'll wait for it to open. So the next thing is to implement AuditorAware interface, so we can actually continue. Now you need to create a class that implements AuditorAware interface. This class returns the current auditor. So this AuditorAware interface is an interface that handles the current logged in user details. So we need to implement this interface to be able to get the current logged in user, which is the current auditor. So what we are going to do is to create a class that implements AuditorAware. Okay. Meanwhile, if I go back to Advanced REST Client, if I go to location, say location 1, signed. Okay, so I'm going to use get at this point. Get. So we have some locations have been returned. So we have created by null. We have created date. Everything is null. We have ID 1. We have name. So if I take this location and try to insert a new location, so let me copy it and go to post locations slash add new, and I go to the body and I'm going to specify this. Now I'm going to take out so ID of, let's say, 4 and name. Okay, so I have this location at this point. So if I run this code, let's see. So it added successfully a new location, Accord City. And if I go back to at this point and rerun this, you can see that it added that location there, Accord City, but nothing is inserted. So let's correct this. So we need to now create an AuditorAware, a class called a class that implements the AuditorAware interface. So let's call this class Spring Security AuditorAware. So I'm going to create it in the models package, new. I'm going to create new class, and I'm going to make it implement the AuditorAware interface. So if you type AuditorAware, so you can see it right here, just select it, and it's going to be string. So let's call it Spring Security AuditorAware. Finish. All right, so at this point, we need to override the get current auditor method. So I'm going to just take out this as well. And I'm going to just copy what I have here. So just return just a string, because for now we don't use Spring Security we don't use Spring Security to fetch username from database or stuff like that. So let's just return a single string that represents the logged in user. So I'm going to paste this to this point. Okay. So this returns optional data of null level, means that when it gets this data, it could be null. It fetches the username, maybe it could be null, it may not be null. So this makes it necessary to handle situation where it is null. In that way, it doesn't fail. All right. So the next thing is to create an AuditorAware bean, right? Of course, you know that a bean is something is something you use to implement the dependency injection functionality. So in your main application class, we need to create a bean that returns the current auditor by returning the Spring Security AuditorAware object. Meaning that we don't have to be creating this class. We just need to create the bean, and we get the object anytime it is requested. All right, so I'm just going to put it maybe somewhere here. All right, so just Ctrl-Shift-O on your keyboard, and it's fine. Again, just enable JPA auditing annotation in the main application class. So I'm going to just add it right there. Ctrl-Shift-O on your keyboard. All right, so we have the bean now. This bean I have here is actually for handling automated documentation using Swagger 2. This is my previous lesson. If you want to go through it, that is fine. Now we've completed this class. We are now going to test it. We are going to insert an item and see if it's inserted correctly and updated the created by the created date and stuff like that. I'm going to save everything And I'm going to relaunch this application at this time. And let's see how much we have. So we are going to perform an insert operation, and let's make sure that it inserted and also inserted the date and the logged in username. All right, so hopefully everything is fine. So Tomcat started on port 8080. That is the next thing I want to see. Tomcat started on port 8080, as you can see, the second to the last line. Now, if we go to JPA and if we go to H2 console and run, we have to connect again, and then I'm going to go to location and I'm going to run it. And you see that we don't have the details there. So the first thing I'm going to do, let me add a new location at this time, Acosity again, location 4. I'm going to add it, and let's see. Let's go back to H2 console and then let's rerun this. Now you can see that location has been inserted with the created by, the created date, the last modified by, and the last modified date. Now let's modify location 1, and let's see that it's going to update the last modified by and the last modified date, because the created date was not there when it was initially inserted. So let's go to advanced REST client. This time we are going to go to updates. I think that should be updates. Yeah, update location. So we are going to update location 1 to Acosity whatever, Nigeria. And now we expected that when we modify it, I'm going to send. Method not allowed, so it's actually put, not post. So put. So put locations, put not supported. Why? Location. Okay, so let's try posts. Posts, update posts. Oh, so I need to update a particular location. So let's do it again. So we have location or location 1 dot updates. So locations 1. So this is how it should be, locations 1 dot updates. So send post. Now this can be very funny. So let's see. Location 1. So it's not locations, but location 1. So finally we have it. We updated location 1, and let's go to H2 database to check. So at this point, if I run, you can see location 1 now is been updated. So you can see last modified by and last modified date is right there. So this is how to implement JPA auditing in your application. This is a step-by-step. Feel free to follow the step-by-step, and also feel free to let me know if you have any challenges following these lessons. I'd like to thank you for viewing. Please subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button below, and let me know if you have any recommendations. Thank you for viewing.